RWBY Volume 3, Episode 5, Never Miss a Beat. Really, really love this episode. I think the action was really cool. The characters were certainly awesome. 2 out of 3, I really like the design for all 3 of the new characters we meet. Seal, who is... I love how they explain who she is, where it's like she's Blake if she gets paid to hang around you, and then Ruby's like, oh, so she's Weiss. But I loved her design, and I don't know why, but... the blue really struck me as very Jill Valentine from Resident Evil, especially because she had a blue beret, which is like, that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, I think of Jill whenever I see like someone with a blue beret from like the very first Resident Evil, even though everything else was like a schoolgirl outfit. It made me think a lot of Resident Evil because of the blue, even though it looks totally different. It looks nothing like the Resident Evil outfit, but I was like, I saw the blue beret, and then the fact that mostly her color design was like blue and black. That's what really struck me, even though her shirt was pretty much white. It was like, well, I still think of Jill Valentine, but I liked her design. She seems like she could be an interesting character, even though at this point she's just the babysitter to Penny, and she's kind of like the guardian of this girl who she doesn't know is a robot, but obviously Ironwood is like, just protect her. If weird things happen, let me know. I'm sure that's kind of how that went. But I liked her design for sure. As far as Flynt and Neon, love their characters overall. We actually got to see them, because even with Penny in this episode, that was like the only thing that kind of sucked, is that we don't really get to see her fight too much. We get to see her do like the blade trick where she, and I didn't think of this during the Season 1 or Volume 1 finale, but when she uses the blades, it's very similar to like Puppet Masters from Naruto, because they use like strings and stuff to control the puppets. But I'd never really thought of that when I first saw it, and then in this one I really did, because she throws them, and then she lifts them up, and I guess the way they do it, the strings are like steel as well, because otherwise it would have to be magnetism or something where she can use it, because just because she's a robot and has super strength doesn't mean she can make string get super strong. So I'm guessing it's like they're actually completely steel, and they're not actually like winding ropes, even though that's what they look like in the finale. So I was trying to figure out like kind of the physics of that, because she just did that and they went straight up. But either way, it doesn't matter. They also float, so it works. So I guess it doesn't matter to get into specifics. But I did enjoy getting at least see Penny fight, and seeing Penny have an actual scene in general was pretty nice. So that was definitely cool. Who knows who the other 2 people were on her team, but I guess that probably won't make any difference. We might see Seal again, but she might be the only person, not including Ironwood himself, of course. But then we get Flynt and Neon versus Yang and Weiss, and that was an awesome fight. Like, it starts off, both characters are designed really cool. Flynt, of course, it was obvious as soon as he came in, it was like, alright, he's like the jazz guy, so it looked really cool. And then we have Neon, who is like the rave girl. I mean, even her name is Neon Cat. So I love the design of both characters. I love the way that Neon, when she's on the roller skate, she has like a rainbow behind her and stuff. When she was kind of sad at first, when they lost the fight, she had 0 colors. She was like completely monotone, and then she got like super happy and all the colors came back, because she's got all different types of colors. I like how they did that, and I also thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know if they're going to actually do this, but she has a tail just like Sun does, and her weapons are, her weapons are, nunchucks, or like nunchaku. And I thought it was kind of interesting, because Sun is obviously based off of Journey to the West. Like, that's the name of the characters, Sun Wukong, and that's how we have Sun. That's exactly where that comes from. So I thought it was pretty interesting that they put in another monkey character, and she doesn't have the staff, but she does have, you know, like basically half of what Sun's weapon is. So I was like, that was pretty interesting that they kind of put that in there. Obviously, she's very different from Sun, but she is a monkey, and they gave her that specific weapon. I was like, I wonder if they did that on purpose, and if they do Faunus again with the tails, they'll all either use a staff or, you know, like nunchaku or something like that. Because I was like, that's pretty interesting. I don't know if it'll, you know, have any relevance to any new characters we might get in the future, but it was something I noticed. I didn't notice it the very first time, but like I watched them fight again, I was like, you know, this, like, I know they call her cat, but I don't see the cat thing. Like, I see her as a monkey more than a cat, and maybe because I guess it was because the tail is so freaking long. Like, I just, you know, I assumed her name was meant to be because like she's supposed to be like a cat, like Faunus, but I didn't see it. I saw it as a monkey, so I don't know if, like, because her last name is Cat, so I would assume that's meant to be like, oh, she's a cat faunus more than a monkey. But the way I saw it, I was just like, that's totally a monkey tail. That has nothing to do with cats. And I'd consider it just to be her name. But I'm probably wrong because I didn't make the show. But that's how I see it. And especially with the weapon thing, I feel like she's meant to be a monkey more than a cat. And that's just kind of the cool name they gave her. But I loved her design. She was really cool and pretty awesome. Like, she's actually really cool when she's fighting against Yang and she's kind of beating her up and stuff. And it's almost like she has super speed. And she kind of reminded me of a little bit of Felicia from Darkstalkers. Just a little bit like the way she would fight and stuff. And there was another character she reminded me of from the old game, like Bloody Roar, which hasn't been a franchise since, I don't even know when, that stopped a long time ago. But there was a cat character in that had a very interesting move where she would like throw you around in like a ball of yarn. And that's what I thought of during that scene when Yang was getting attacked and Neon was just like flying all over the place. That's what, you know, popped into my head. But I loved her. I loved her fighting style. It was really cool. Then she like cracked her. I was like, oh, it's cool that they crack and it's dust, but obviously it's like glow sticks. And I was like, that's just really freaking sweet. It's an easy way to make a very obvious reference to, you know, her character design and everything as far as rave aesthetics. And then it works in the universe as well because it's dust. So I was like, that's just really freaking sweet. So I loved that. Flynt was super cool. His semblance was probably my favorite part when he basically cloned himself. I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, his semblance is to make clones of himself. At least 3 of them. So that was like the coolest thing ever. Like when they showed the semblance, I'm like, he can just flat out clone himself. And I'm assuming based on how he did it, he can only do it for like very short instances. That's why he was basically only standing still, and then when he started walking, that's when they basically came back into just one Flynt. But it was still really awesome, and they're all the separate colors and everything. Obviously, the music, which is, I think the music was the highlight of this episode. It starts off with a brand new song, which I loved in itself. I was like, sweet, we get a cool jazz song. That was really awesome. And then it switched to the part with Flynt versus Weiss. And that in itself, once again, cool fight scene. I love the way how Weiss used her powers, which is very reminiscent, once again, to Naruto, because it's something that happens really early on with a character that uses ice. And she moves around he moves around. It looks like a girl. The character's Haku, for people who don't know. But he moves around through all the ice at basically super high speeds. And I was like, that makes me think of Naruto, especially with the ice stuff. But it was just really fun to watch that, but it was cool to see her use her powers in that regard. Using her powers to stay still was very awesome, and that was like her tactic at first, was to use like the black glyph to keep herself intact, and she walked, but then once he let go and there was no force, she was at super speed like she normally would be, and I was like, that's actually pretty awesome. It works physics-wise and everything, so that was really cool. But his design was awesome. The music was good. Once they started that portion, we get This Will Be the Day remix, or, you know, the jazz form. Love that. That's still my favorite song in the whole series. So when they played that as the first one, I was like, that's freaking amazing. And now once again, I already couldn't wait. Once the first episode premiered and we got the new opening theme, I'm waiting for the full version of that. And now we have all 3 of these new songs I can't wait to hear. So after we get This Will Be the Day, we get I Burn once Yang is on her own, which is very awesome to see. We got the, you know, her sort of Super Saiyan mode again, which is really cool. And I think Neon kind of pushed her to the limit. Like, she went above and beyond making her angry, so I think we all knew it was going to end that way. And then when she was on her own, which was a really great moment for Weiss, because she actually sacrificed herself. I was like, that, because we know Weiss, and so it was just like, that's awesome to see Weiss actually do that for her teammate. And it was obvious that she cares, but when we see her kind of go to those lengths, it's like, that's really cool. Like, she says it a lot, and it's true that she cares, but when we see it, it just makes it even better. So I certainly enjoyed getting that moment. And then Yang just going nuts and destroying both of these characters. Like, she completely obliterated them both, and I loved it. So great action. Love the music. We do get to see Mercury and Emerald and Cinder has found out about Penny. I'm assuming she's going to have some control over Penny's programming, because at this point Penny's clearly just an AI. She kind of just does whatever. But this might allow Cinder to take full control over Penny. So that should be interesting to see them have to go up against Penny. It would have to be a lot of people because Penny, being a robot, she already has the super strength, and then she has, you know, like over a dozen floating blades that she can just toss into anything and everything. So they have to be careful. Plus, she had the crazy laser cannon thing, which they didn't show in this episode, but we got that in the Volume 1 finale, and that's pretty crazy. So she can cause some insane amounts of destruction if she's under someone's control. So I think that's what we'll be getting after like the whole tournament officially ends. I think that's something that we'll be seeing, is a lot of people having to go up against Penny. And then we get the final scene of this episode, which threw in a million questions, because we have Qrow and Ozpin, and they're talking, and it's like, did you pick your guardian yet? I didn't know what the heck that meant. And so it's like, you know, they're just multiple things. Like, I would assume guardian just like an actual bodyguard. But it seemed like this kind of tied in a little bit to the whole spy aspect that they talked about with Ironwood, because he mentioned that he has his own spy. But whatever is happening, it has something to do with Pyrrha. And I don't know if Pyrrha... It kind of makes me wonder, because they do the sort of... It was a slightly evil smile, so it was kind of like, is something weird going on where Pyrrha's actually a spy? Or is this just a new side of Pyrrha that we've never seen? Because she's... I mean, we've seen her fight, and when she fights, she is very different than when she's talking with the team, because she's very cheery and stuff. But like when she was doing the training in the last season, and she fought against... Well, she fights 4 people at one time. I can't even remember the name of that team because I hate those guys. But, you know, they were in this episode, 2 of them at least. So when she was fighting them, it was serious. Like, there was no joke. She's like flipping and, you know, like bringing her shield back, throwing the spear, shooting them, kicking, spinning, everything. And she really does change a lot when she fights. So I don't know if this was her in that sort of in-between state, and that's the first time we've seen it, or if something really weird is happening. So I don't really know what to expect from that. I'm assuming that Ozpin was talking about Pyrrha because they show her, but like most people, I would have assumed that he was talking about RWBY, and he still could be, but considering they showed Pyrrha, I'm assuming that means he's choosing Pyrrha over RWBY, which personally makes way more sense, because Pyrrha is better than RWBY. Like, I know she's the main character, but we've seen Pyrrha fight and we've seen RWBY fight. It's just a fact that Pyrrha is established as like the top character in the show at this point, outside of, you know, the adults. So it would make a lot more sense that he'd choose Pyrrha over anyone else, even though RWBY is the main character. It just wouldn't exactly make sense. So I'm assuming, based on how they showed it, that he chose Pyrrha, and something weird is happening. I still don't know why Ozpin, you know, like what this guardian exactly would do, because I wouldn't assume it would be a bodyguard. It would have to be a bit more than just that, because it's Ozpin. Even though we haven't seen him fight, there, you know, there has to be a reason for that. So I'm not 100% sure what to expect from that, but that was a crazy little scene. It's like, I don't think it would be anyone else. I mean, we've never seen anyone completely disguised, whereas like maybe their semblance is to look like other people, which would be nuts. But we did see a guy officially clone himself, so we are getting into like the even crazier, you know, semblances at this point, which is really awesome. And we've seen Sons before, which is sort of like ghost clones a little bit. So I don't know what to expect. I mean, it was sort of an interesting moment, and it was just like the evil type of grin, and I don't know what to expect, but I'm looking forward to it. This is a really fun episode, and then, you know, it was just like another great fight, you know, action episode, and then it kind of hits us with these 2 little scenes at the end, like, okay, they found out about Penny, so the bad guys know about her now, being a robot, and then we have the whole thing with Pyrrha, and it's like, I don't know what to even think of that. So I'm really looking forward to it. This is definitely a fun episode. Cannot wait to get the full versions of those songs, or even if someone just, you know, it's probably already online, honestly, if you just look it up on YouTube, but someone probably already like took out all the action sounds and it's just the music. So I'm gonna look it up as soon as I can. But love the music, love the action. Can't wait to see what the next fight is gonna be. We're getting down, you know, to our singles matches, so I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna see a couple more people. We might get to see I would assume it would be Sun and Neptune from Team Sun. So we might actually get to see them go up against whoever in their doubles match. Maybe they'll do like a half and half episode again, kind of like how they did with Team Juniper, and we'll get that for like the last couple of episodes until we get to our official singles. But I'm loving all the new characters they're introducing. These two have certainly been my favorite. Actually, these three, even though Seal had like nothing, I loved her design, and I know that is like the cheapest thing to like, but honestly, I've liked her more than, I think, Team Auburn. Maybe the girl from that team I really love. The girl who was doing like the martial arts, the hand-to-hand stuff versus Yang. I really liked her from that team. And I guess the other girl was pretty cool too because she had a hoverboard, so that was actually kind of awesome. But all the other random teams have kind of just been like sort of so. They've been cool to see fight. Like the Team Indigo, when they fought against Team Sun, the all-female team, it was cool to see them, but it was like, it wasn't like the craziest thing. But this episode, Flynt and Neon were unbelievably different from the other characters we've seen. Like, their designs were obvious to a certain thing within real life culture, and then their abilities were just insanely cool. So it was way different than the other characters where it's like, oh, they look pretty cool, or they throw a couple punches or something like that. But we actually got to see them use their semblances. Maybe we did with Neon. It's really hard to tell with her. I don't know if that rainbow thing was just an effect or if that was real. I don't even know. But maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I'm not sure about her character. But we at least got to see it with Flynt, and it was very cool. And I'm looking forward to some of the other new characters. Hopefully, I don't think they'll be as cool as this duo that we got in this episode, because it was such a great focus on them, and even their personalities got a huge focus because the whole fight was pretty much the episode, which I'm totally fine with because we had quite a few story elements in the last couple episodes, so I was fine with basically the whole episode being just this fight scene with two of the main characters, out of Team RWBY. So I personally enjoyed it, but I love the personalities, designs, of course their fighting styles. The saxophone is just really cool, or trumpet. I don't know why I said saxophone, but a trumpet. Very cool. Would be interesting if it was a saxophone. Very different aiming dynamic with that. But definitely a fun episode. Of course, though, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And as much as I want to know what you guys thought about the music and the new characters, the biggest question I have is, what do you guys think of that final scene with Pyrrha? It was just very different for Pyrrha. She's always that super cheery character. That's just who she is. She's cheery. She's happy-go-lucky, almost. She's pretty much happy-go-lucky. That's kind of her personality, but in a very weird way, because obviously, when you're on Team Juniper and you're Pyrrha and you have Nora, that's like the peak of happy-go-lucky, but Pyrrha's still there a little bit. And then this was just like military version, and it was so different, and it was weird. Not in a bad way, just a very curious way, and I don't really know what to expect from it. But I do want to know your speculations on that final scene, and kind of what Qrow and Ozpin were talking about as far as a guardian and things like that. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.